Hello everyone, welcome back to Railway Cottage Studio. This is Karen. It is Saturday afternoon and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time slow stitching and enjoying working on this last panel of my Home is Where the Heart Is quilt. I'm going to risk recording. My husband is watching the rugby in his bar, which is just next door, so if you hear a sudden yell of outrage, then clearly the Wallabies aren't winning. But if you hear a sudden cheer, you can bet your bottom dollar that we've just scored a try against Argentina. So hopefully they won't be too loud. So this is my final panel of 9. I've been working on this for a long time now, probably about 18 months. Longer because I injured my hand, as you know. So I am on the home stretch. I've been fiddling away here today, just putting on the last bibs and bobs before I stitch them all down. So you can see I have the back layer. For this I've just used a bit of old Sheridan Doona cover, which is 100% cotton. All of my layers on top of that, and now this is the top layer of probably fabrics and bits and pieces, and I need probably just some buttons and a couple little brooches or something to go on after that. So all my main things are stitched down. Now I'm just going around and stitching on the little bits, the little bits that need to be finished off. Can you hear the rugby? So I've got my threads all ready to go. I've had my afternoon tea, very exciting. So I am just going to randomly choose a thread and start to stitch. So welcome. I hope you've had some stitching time this weekend. I've had a bonus day because we had a pupil-free day, and the way we work it at our schools, we do the additional hours over a couple of days after school, and then we get this day off, which is absolutely worth its weight in gold in term 3, when days off are few and far between. So I made the most of it yesterday and spent as much time as I could down here. I ended up doing my embroidery piece for Roxy's journal. It took me forever, oh my goodness. I wonder if people who do embroidery all the time, if it's that slow for them. It took me nearly all day. It was nice. It was a nice job to do. So that's on. So I'm all ready for the next prompt tomorrow night, on Sunday night. So I've got a few little projects that I'm finishing off. I've got this panel, and then once it is finished, I can stitch the last row of that quilt together, and then stitch it to the 2 rows that are already done, already ready to go. And then comes the big job of quilting that. So we're just coming into summer. It's pretty hot still, so I'll see how I go getting that quilted, because it's very, very hot to have it on your lap to work when it's summer up here. Gosh, it's all happening. Can you hear the noise? Sorry about that. It's normally so quiet. Someone's got their muffler pimped up. So I've been having a little squiz around at what everyone's doing at the moment. There's lots of big projects happening, lots of junk journals happening. I've actually created a space in my room so I can start to do some junk journaling again. Just haven't had the time, but it's there ready to go. Grabbed a few books when I was out last week at Vinnie's, some books with really nice illustrations. Yes, have my little table. I put the first layer of paper towel onto my mouse treehouse, and completely underestimated how much PVA glue I would use. So I need to go and get like the world's biggest bottle of PVA glue from Spotlight before I can carry on, but it worked well. I've been draping paper towels in a mixture of PVA and water, and then draping the paper towels over the top of my little mouse compartments to look like a tree trunk. I've seen it online, a few people are doing it. It looks like the Brambley Hedge treehouse, so it's going to look like it's in a tree trunk. That's the plan. That's my little background project. I'm going to gather out my little doll's house again. I put it away for a while because I just wasn't happy with the first page, and I think I'm going to completely simplify it down to have the one page inside with the little mouse in a bed. And I think I'll like it then. I think it just got too involved, and then everything had to be too neat, and I didn't like it. So I put that away for a while, and I've been just thinking about it, and I think that's why I don't like it. And then I've got my little vintage stitches journal that I have started working on, which is just such a lovely therapeutic little project to work on. My pages are all together, and I'm going to start using those pages for some little tiny collages. Just freestyle Friday freestyle collages, I think. Free range maybe, freestyle, free range, bit of both. So I'm just stitching on this gorgeous, can you see how tiny it is? Let me bring you in a little bit closer. Can you see how tiny this little needle point is? It's actually a little Laura Ashley one that I got in a frame from an op shop for $1. So you know how that works. Out it comes, out the frame and onto my quilt. But the work is so fine, it's incredible. So just putting a little bit of green around it to make it pop out. There we go. So I hope you've got a stitching project on your lap or in your head. It's quite possible to have one on your lap and a different one in your head, as you know. So I'm going to leave it like that. I like it that it's a bit buffy. Just tie that off. I like starting with a whole heap of different thread colours and then just randomly choosing. Because otherwise, I think you can just spend so much time making decisions. And I'm a bit time poor for my stitching, so I don't want to waste it making decisions about thread colour. I'm going to pull this over. I'm going to stitch on this palm tree. I hate palm trees, but I'm stitched this on because I hate palm trees, and they're everywhere in Queensland. Looks a bit like a palm tree. So again, this is one of the, I think it's one of the MSG, Margaret Sampson George template shapes. It's a little bit stylised, like her shapes always are, her template shapes always are. I have one of her books called Take an Element, and I'll get it and show you. And I think I've shared this with you before. So this is quite an old book, but this was my mum's and she's lent it to me. And you can see a lot of her work involves lots of, it's all needlepoint, needle turn applique. I tend to just use the raw edges. But in her book, she's got lots and lots of the templates for the freestyle sort of shapes that she makes. She does some really interesting things. So I've used lots of these shapes, particularly the hare. I haven't used the kangaroo. I've used the dog. I've used the dog. There's all sorts of things in here. I've definitely used the bird. You can see how she puts everything together. Lots and lots of colours that really contrast. She's got a great eye for putting things together that you wouldn't expect. So if you see that around, grab it, it's great. Even as a slow stitcher, you don't necessarily have to be a quilter to get something out of that book. Ow! Actually, I'm just going to roll this guy up so I can work in the direction I need to. I need my thimble. So it's jumper on, jumper off. Yesterday it was really hot. Today I have a jumper on again. So, my poor Wattle doesn't know what to do with himself at the moment. Okay. So I'm hoping now that all these people are doing larger pieces, we're going to see some more out in shows and things. I would encourage everybody to enter. It's not about winning, don't know that a slow stitch quilt would ever win any show that's sponsored by a sewing machine company, but it's about getting our stuff out there for other people to see, and other little lost soul who might be like, oh, I want to do something but I don't want to do quilting, and might see something and go, oh, I can do that. Because the more of us that there are, the more that those types of shows will cater for us. So I encourage you to face your fears, put yourself out there and enter your quilts. Your work is just as valid as anyone who's followed a pattern, more so, I believe. So this is probably the last big layer of things. From this point on, the embellishments probably get smaller. Buttons and brooches and little bits of ribbons and things like that. A little bit of layering that I tend to do at the end, where I tuck bits of doily edging under and make sure everything's interesting. So this is the bottom right piece of the quilt, the final piece. So I know that this edge isn't going to be joined, so I can work comfortably here knowing that none of these bits are going to be overlapped or lost when I put it together. There it goes. I can hear a siren, must be half time on the rugby. My husband is a rugby tragic. He's Irish, but he's the biggest Wallaby fan in the world. I love this fabric, and I love that it clashes. When you put a fabric like this on, it makes other things pop out that didn't pop out before. My mum used to call it a kicker fabric that kicked other things into view. And I know that when I do my layers, I do lose some of the layers underneath, but that doesn't matter. It's all part of the building up of design in my head. And I like how it just gets so textural and you see glimpses of things and you're not sure what's there. It's like a garden where you just glimpse something at the end of a path. You don't want it all just boom on display. Where is the fun in that? There we go. So I resisted the urge. I'm not op shopping or going to the auction house this weekend because we are heading down to Sydney next 2 weeks' time. So I'm saving all my hard-earned little dollars to buy whatever I need, hopefully find some treasures in Bowral and at the Sewing Basket, and hopefully the quilt show at Rosehill. If you're around in Melbourne, I think the Craft and Quilt show's on there at the moment, so my quilt, the Sewers Village, is there, as is Kate in the Nest's flower quilt, one flower at a time quilt. So there's a couple of slow stitches being represented there, which is good. Although my Sewers Village quilt was actually, a lot of it was done by machine because I had a broken thumb, and that's what I did to keep myself sane. So it, a lot of it was done on the machine, and then the final bit was done as part of my hand therapy. And I could only stitch for like 10 minutes at a time, which is just torture. But anyway, we're back working again now. Although it still gets very sore when I do lots of heavy sewing through lots of layers. So I'm hoping that will get better with time. Okay. So when I'm putting all the bits on a quilt like this, on a block like this, I usually start at the bottom and work my way up, or start at the top. So just start, work in one direction so that you're completely finished behind you. I kind of don't like going back, so I like to completely finish and then move on. And then once everything's stitched down, I'll have a final look and just decide what final elements we need. So I have my bunting ready to go, because I have bunting that I made that is going across all the panels. So it's made from beautiful 1930s fabrics. And again, yes, it's, you know, I've got toiles and tea towels and ticking and check and, you know, K facet. But, you know, I'm a big believer that if you love it, it will go together. Plus I love it, so. I can hear the French national anthem being played. Maybe they've moved on to the next match. There we go. Can you hear it in the background? It's a great anthem. Always sung with such emotion by the French. I remember going to see Australia play France at the Stade de France many years ago. I'm talking in the early, late 1990s, and just, you know, 70,000 French people singing La Marseillaise was just something else. It really was, you know, goose pimple stuff. All right, let's have a look if I've got it at the bottom. All right, I've got this little guy over here to go at the bottom. He's just a little sunset picture. I think I'm going to do him in brown. Let's go. I'll just pin this back. And so once this is all stitched together, I will put it back up on the wall and make sure that everything's balanced and even, and that it works as a big piece. Am I on screen? Yes, I am. Is it France and New Zealand? I can hear a haka now. Must be. So again, some of this will be lost when I join the panels, but that's right. That's how it works then. It just seems to all meld together when I do it like this. So wonder how good my microphone is if you're picking up the haka. It's pretty loud. Nearly done. So I'm going to stitch on all my little bits and then go in search of what I'm going to feed the troops for dinner. We ended up with Bub, baby granddaughter, at the hospital last night, but she's okay. So it was a bit of a late night, bit of a horrendous morning, but she's all good. So hence no planning for dinner. It may well be pizza tonight, plus it's Saturday. You shouldn't cook dinner on a Saturday. Alright, look at these beautiful Springer Spaniels. When I was a kid, we had a Springer Spaniel called Barney, who was just the most fabulous dog. He looked just like that. So I'll put him on there, put them on there for that reason. So I've cut off this little bit of blue. Actually, let me just pin that because I thought I had pinned it and I haven't. Sorry, excuse my head. Excuse my head as I move across and pin my other Springer Spaniel. There we go. I've just cut off a bit of blue off a doily, and I always grab doilies that have a coloured crocheted edge because they're so useful. Because you can cut it and tuck it and layer it, and it gives a really good vibe to be able just to tuck it in. See, just there. So I'm just having a look at whether I'm going to create a frame, and if you pull it straight, you can always pull it straight. If you pull it straight, you can just make a little frame. Works really well, which is what I'm going to do for this guy. Have I got enough? Do I have enough? Well, in fact, you know what? I'm going to do 3 sides because this side's going to be lost. Look how cute that is. Grab my pins. And this was a curved doily, it wasn't a straight doily, so it still works. You can miter it if you wanted. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. See doozy. There we go. So it's a semi-miter. There's a technical term for you. Semi-miter, except I didn't actually attach it to anything. Let's go again. I want it to be straight. I don't want it to be curved. So I do need to just make sure this bit goes all the way down and up. And I'll make sure that it's straight as I stitch. Actually, that's not working for me at all. Let's start again. Okay. Sometimes you just got to pin properly, hey? There we go. So I'm going to push that into, it's still too close. Push that into there. Then I'm going to fold. Failing massively. I think I'll do it as I stitch, just because I haven't left a lot. The pins are just coming straight through what's there. So I'm going to miter it. I'm going to control it as I stitch. Well, that's the plan. So let's see how that works out. So I think I would like, what colour do I want? I want brown again because the dogs are nice in the brown. Right, I've got this darker brown. Yes, I do. Blue and brown, here we go again. So I'm going to start at the end here. And I'm catching both. I'm catching the image and the crocheted edge as well. There we go. Do you think I could pin it from the bottom? Let's try that. There we go. That at least frees up my hand. Okay, so now I'm going to do some quite long stitches. I'm going to stitch into the little ridge because I know that won't fall apart regardless of how close I am to the edge. Yeah, that's where I want. Let's go straight. The rugby's gone off. See, I've missed the bottom of that. So let's see if I can tuck him back under. Nope, not working. I'm going to pull that one out and I'm going to pull the whole thing higher because my needle is piercing the edges of it and it's coming apart. So let's pull it back out. Start again. Right, that's good. Let's bring the whole thing up to there. So I've got much more underneath now. Much more to mess around with. Let's see if I can go up through here. 1. Don't be scared to pull your stuff out. 2. There we go. That's better. When it's not working. Okay, that's better, isn't it? That looks much straighter. All right, let's rethread this needle and go again. Let's try it again. So this time I'm actually going to stitch down along the top of where the through the holes that the crochet has been put through, just to make sure it can't fall apart. The only problem with doing that is it's very easy to make your stitches really straight, which I really don't like. So I have to make sure I do some 2s and some 3s and some 1s, and then every now and then a crooked one, to just avoid it looking like the only bit of straight stitching on the whole thing. So, nearly done. Okay, yeah, that's working much better. I like the brown. You go to a little one. So, is anyone else going to the Rose Hill Quilt Show? We won't get there till Friday. I've got to work Thursday, but sorry, we're flying Thursday, so we won't get there till Friday. But I'm sure Mum and I will be. Mum likes to go there early in case we miss anything. I think she's determined that all the good stuff goes first, so we will be there bright and early on Friday morning. Okay, so now I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. That worked really well. Excuse me, I'm going to go around the corner. Might tuck him under. Come back a bit further than I thought, just like I did. I just don't want to go over his nose. Like that, and then stick my pins in again through there. Through. Go through there. Oh, didn't get him. Still didn't get him. Let's try it again. Yep, that's good. And one at the top here. Just to hold that straight for me. There we go. Perfect. See how easy it is to make a really good frame, and that really brings your eye then to the little element that you're using. So let's have a look what I'm going to do with you. There we go. Mighted corner, voila. Don't go under my fingernail. I didn't. Okay. Nice. So then hopefully I can just continue my stitching up the side. Again, I'm going to stitch where the holes are, just because I know that they're going to hold and it's not going to fray. And again, just a little bit of blue. Wasn't in a very exciting doily, it just had a nice blue edge. By the boring doilies. I don't like that, it's gone a bit crooked, can you see? Actually, I'm going to try and get away with it like that, because I don't want to stitch over his nose. Our Springer Spaniel Barney, we used to live out near Toowoomba, and he would be chasing a kangaroo across our back. We had about five acres, I think. Be chasing a kangaroo through the long grass, and all you'd see is every now and then he'd jump straight up in the air and look around to see where he was. He was a character. Oh look, I've missed that. I'm going to pull it over. Didn't work, people. I need to go a bit further. let's try just going this way till I get the stitches up there. It's because I've got 17 layers here and I'm only picking up the doily. Alright, just before I overthink this, I'm just going to go up to there. No, see, I still haven't caught the edge, which is what I want to do. Alright, I'm going to just do one at a time here, so I get in. Okay, I might have to do a little back stitch. I still didn't get it, sorry, I just felt on the camera. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. Didn't work. That's right, I'll be able to tuck it under when I'm done, like that. I cut that image too close because I didn't know what I was going to do with it. What's on there here? That's right. Okay, no, it's still good actually. Alright, it's time to do my little mitered bit here. Well, what passes for a mitered bit. See how that's untucked? That's right. When it's done, I'm going to tuck that under and just do a tiny little line of stitching around the edge so that it doesn't pop up. Let me straighten up a bit. And here I've just gone a bit big for some reason. Let me just trim that a bit with the world's biggest scissors. Sorry, don't want to cut my blue bit. Right, so there. Let's go around the corner. There he is. Hang on, there we go. And straight across. I'm just going to spin that so I can cut a little bit more off this guy so that it's a little bit straighter. Who knew I'd be cutting things to be straighter from my crooked picture? There we go. Let's try that one. So let's go to here and across. There you go, that's good. I'm just going to stab him to death. Make him stay just like that. I mean, what I could have done is put my wool mat underneath and pin it, but you know, who's got time for that? Okay, so that should stay pretty well. Go back to there. So I've got a little bit of a corner thing going on. And again, I don't want it to be too straight. It's a very fine line, isn't it? Right, up and around. And again, through the holes where the crochet goes. 2 and a 3 and a 1. You. Okay, that was a bit fiddly, but it looks good. I'm happy with that. Look at that gorgeous blue. It's a real jacaranda blue, isn't it? Bit. And then I can take all these horrible pins out that are telling me to take them out now. I'm going to go back and fix that little bit at the front, which I don't like, where it's sagging out the front. Oh, I'll turn this light on, it does help. It's just suddenly got dark. That helps a bit behind me. Going through there. Okay. So that's worked out really well. I like that. I'm going to just trim you there like that. Boom. I'm going to do one more stitch to actually hold that down like this. One up. Actually, is there a pin in there? No, it just feels like it. Down. So I'm just flopping that bit down. So see here how it's come up? I'm going to fix that. That's not making me very happy. So I'm going to take this little guy and log him off, I was going to say. I was looking at watching Karma Creations video tonight, and she was saying that she has 12 granddaughters. How amazing is that? 12 granddaughters. How wonderful. How amazing. I don't know how many families, like how many children of her own that's from, but it's pretty impressive. Right, so I'm going to scooch him all the way across there and underneath. Get under there, you. That's it, like that. I'm going to pin. Pin, pin, pin. It does not move. So I've got this doily underneath and it's really thick. And so I have to lift and pin. Right, so I'm going to just do a sneaky understitch, and I only really need to do it along under here. So I'm just going to manipulate that to where I want it, and just do a line of stitches to pull that over. And that caught where I didn't want it to. Did that catch on? That caught on the doily. Let's go again. Yes, I do use a very long piece of thread to my own destruction sometimes. So let's move you like that. Okay. So now I'm just literally going to pull the ends of my, so where's the other end? Done it again. Okay, it needs to be way down here. Under. Pull him under. Up. So I'm just literally going to catch the very, very edge of him. If I'd done this properly, I wouldn't be having to do this. And then I'm going to literally just pull it under like that, underneath the flappy bit that I want to be on top. And then when I go to sit it on, it will sit much more happily. You can see a few little stitches, but again, that's okay. Can't have saggy pictures. Nearly done. That's much better. She's not going to move now. Let's see if I can tuck you under all the way. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just literally grabbing that stitch and I am taking it to the edge and dropping my needle down under. So it just basically flattens out that end. And I've had to go a little way back just because obviously this will fray and my needle would just, you know, tear through it and it won't collect any of it on the way. And again, you can see the edges of my stitches, but that's right. I'm not particularly worried. I just don't want it to be floppy. Again, going all the way down, going underneath there, and just pulling it down. Look, see, that's much better. That's much better. Oh, that's my mum ringing. Let me just turn the volume off that. She's had a world's biggest spider, she said, and then the world's biggest snake today. So she's had a day of it. It's gotten hot suddenly, and sometimes the snakes come out to mate, and particularly the eastern brown snakes that we get in Queensland can be really aggressive. So I think she was taping her doggy door shut last time I talked to her, because that's always been her terror, that a snake would come through the doggy door. All right, so that little picture is done. Look at him, he's gorgeous. Hang on, I made my phone go crooked. He's lovely, and you can see how that just draws your eye to an element that would otherwise be lost. And because this is going to overlap, I'm not going to waste my little bit of blue bit. He's just there. So you can see that. Am I under? I think I want to be under. This is actually just loose. I didn't stitch that down at all. That was a bit lazy. So I'm going to just bring myself. I'm going to just do 1 or 2 teeny tiny stitches in the crocheted edge at the top, because I don't want it to flop. No flopping. I mean, I could use white, cream, you know, the blue, but I'm not worried about the colour. And plus, I already have this colour on, so I'm just going to keep this in place so that when it's hanging on the wall, it doesn't flop, because it's quite heavy, this little bit of edging. Alrighty, well, that's been a lovely little bit of sewing. I've got my daughter ringing now, and my mum's just rung, so I need to just jump on and check everything's okay. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.